engage with, because I think a lot of times we have this idea of what writing emails looks like. And the problem is there's a disconnect a lot of times between how we were taught or how we learned to write emails, or how we write emails to, in our personal life or something. There's a disconnect between that and what kind of emails actually convert and what kind of emails actually work in a sales and a marketing situation. And so we looked at how do you make them more digestible, and how do you make them more scannable, because people are scanners. They read. I mean, that's what we're taught. Like, and that's what, social media, for better or worse, has taught us all how to do that, right? We're scrollers. We scan. We look for the information that matters most. So we went over a lot of that last week. And this week, I want to look at another, I guess you could call it a misconception, or another disconnect between the way we write emails and actually the way that people consume them, the way that people actually engage with them. So that's what we're going to look at today. But here's what I want to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions. So pull up that Q&A box and go ahead and plug in. I want to ask you, where do people, or you could substitute that for you. Where do you open emails? Think about where you are when you open emails. Like, what are some different places that you are when you pull up your email inbox and you're checking your email? Because that's what we want to think about. We want to think about where people are. And so we've got in my home office. That's what Jerry says. Ken says, usually on my phone watching TV. That's a big one, right? I know I do that a lot as well. We've got more office. Dion says phone on the go everywhere. Cynthia says in the car. Colette says out of the office. Jim says everywhere, right? I think that's a big one too, right? With push notifications now, when you get your, it shows up right here and you get that little icon that comes across the screen. Pretty much a lot of us check it wherever we are. So that's a big one. Let's see here. Henry says gym, car, bed, office, phone, phone a lot, right? That's a big one. I know a lot of people, I don't know if this is the case for you or not. A lot of people check their email first thing when they wake up. I don't know if that's good or not. It's probably not. I've heard that you're supposed to, you should probably like not check notifications for the first few hours, but I've been guilty of that myself, is, pick up the phone, check what's going on, and all of a sudden you're in that mode of checking emails. So I've got lots and lots of responses here, but basically the answer is everywhere. And the answer is on your phone most of the time. Okay. And that's where people are opening their messages. It's whether they're sitting on the sofa, watching TV, whether they're in carpool waiting to, the carpool line waiting to pick up their kids, whether they're in line somewhere at the bank, whether, it's in the morning when you get up. People are checking their phones, checking their emails on here. Look, I just got an email notification that popped up actually right when I picked this up. And if I wasn't doing this, I would probably check it, or at least I would scan it and see, okay, do I want to open it? And there's a problem though, here's what I'll tell you is first, I'll kind of show you the data behind that, because we all kind of realize it, right? We open emails on our phone. I'm not saying you don't ever open an email on your desktop, or, you might when you're sitting in, at the office. That's probably a pretty convenient place to check it. But for the most part, if you think about your normal everyday prospect, their phone is where they're going to. And this just kind of shows you the trend of that happening. As you look here, 2011, so fast forward just like a decade ago, 27% of emails were being opened on smartphones, on mobile devices. 73 were being opened on desktop. So back, you rewind a decade, the majority of people were opening emails on desktop. Fast forward 5 years after that to 2016, and it was almost an even split there. Mobile actually took over pretty rapidly to 55%, but still a fairly even split across the board between opening emails on a smartphone and opening emails on the desktop. And then you can see how it goes. This data point over here is from 2020, which actually this number now, this statistic, which says 81% of emails are opened on a mobile device, on a smartphone. This is probably a lot lower than it is now. I would guesstimate, that this is probably mid 80s now at this point, which means most people, or 4 out of 5 emails, probably more than that, are being opened on a smartphone on a mobile device. And that's probably not a surprise to you, right? You probably look at that statistic and you go, yeah, that makes sense. I understand that. But the problem is, most of us, when we write emails, we're not writing them for mobile. we're writing them for assuming we're sitting on our computer and we have our word processor up, whether you're using Google Docs or Microsoft Word or you're using an email platform and you're writing in there. We have a big screen up and we're sitting there and we're writing emails on a desktop computer or a laptop. When people are receiving it on a mobile device, and that might not seem like a big deal, but what it does is it creates an issue where we're optimizing our emails for devices that people are not really opening them on or are less likely to open them on. And here's another interesting statistic. So this was a research report by company Blue Hornet. It said 80% delete emails not optimized for mobile. So 80% of people will delete an email if they get it and they read it on their mobile device, and it's not very well optimized for their mobile device, which is really that right there shows the disconnect, right? If you're not optimizing your emails for mobile, and I'm going to tell you what that means, like how to opt. That's what I'm going to focus on today. Is how do you do it? But right now, I'm just kind of giving you the idea, showing you here